we are told that the first thing which we do when we enter this world is that we inhale. And the last thing which we do when we leave this world is that we exhale. So life is what takes place between these two breaths. My name is Lomze from COHESION Consulting. And our vision is to create community of excellence. And one of the things which we realize is that it is difficult to create a community of excellence when people think that they are inferior and when others think that they are more superior than them. And we realize something. For us to overcome the concept or this idea of racism and also sexism, we have a duty of collaboration. We cannot overcome racism and sexism outside the realm of collaboration. And the collaboration which I'm referring to is to go in different communities and find out what is the perception of what we call a human being. Because for me, the reason why we discriminate one another is because of the ignorance software which we carry. And let us go to an African community and find out what is their definition of what we call a human being. And when we go to an African community, we discover that for them, the only thing which they help them to define what is a human being is the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is from a word root, muntu. In its literal sense, it means an intellectual being. And in its deeper sense, it means a divine being. Now we know that the Africans perceive a human being as a divine being. And I'm asking myself a question, does divinity have gender? When we say you are a divine being, is it a gender? And when we say you are a divine being, are we referring to your pigmentation? Because of divinity, it has nothing to do with all these limitations and discriminations which we carry around us. And for us also to understand this concept of a human being better, let us visit the Christian community and find out from their scripture, how do they perceive this being? And the Bible tells us that God created man in his image. This creates more confusion. Because when you look around, we see black people, white people, short people, and tall people. And also racist and sexist. Is it God, those things, or his image? Is it those limitations and discriminations which I'm referring to? But again, we have a solution. Let us go and visit linguistics. And it will tell us, where does the word man come from? The word man, traditionally, it meant the thinker. And it makes sense when you think about it. When God says, let us make man in our image. For me, he was merely referring to the thinker in all of us. We know, all of us, that God creates. And a human being has been creating things, cell phones, even including the camera which is standing in front of me. So when God said, let us create man in our image, he was referring to the thinker in us, the divinity in us. And if we are still confused in terms of understanding what this human being is, let us take a tour in the Muslims' Quran. And how does the Quran describe this human being? And the Quran says, I've created you from a single pair of male and female and evolved you in different tribes and nations so that you may know each other but not to discriminate amongst each other. So therefore, the Quran gives us an opportunity to appreciate that all these colors, all these heights which we see about ourselves, it is a mere variations which help us to understand or to identify ourselves But beyond that, we are divine. So a person who thinks he's inferior and a person who thinks that he is superior, he's driven by ignorance. But there is one person who can help us also to understand this being. What is this man? You know? And if you go to the poem by Ali, who said, let me read it for you. His poem is say, you. Your remedy is within you, but you do not sense it. Your sickness is from you, but you do not perceive it. You presume that you are a small entity, whereas within you is concealed the vast world. You are indeed that magnificent book, by whose alphabets the hidden become evident. Therefore, you have no needs beyond yourself. Your essence and secrets are in you, if you can reflect. He's giving us an opportunity to understand that our problem of racism, our problem of inferiority complex is in us, because we've absorbed that disease. And the only way to overcome it is when we go back and discover our true nature, which has nothing to do with our pigmentation. We are beyond our pigmentation. We are beyond our nationality. We are beyond our gender. We are beyond our tribal inclinations. And for me, understanding is a base of helping us to preserve and to protect our humanity.